Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Beauty by Nisha. If you're new here, my name is Nisha, and for today's video, I'm going to give you an update on some of my postpartum essentials for my C-section that I had. I will go over some of the products that I use in the Frida Mom kit and other products that honestly have helped me so much that I didn't try before or that I was using before with my first C-section. So if you want to see, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and continue to watch. So today's video is a little bit different, but I am going to be giving you guys some updates on things that I liked that I used for my postpartum C-section recovery. Also, I'll kind of go over kind of how it went, just because this time was a completely different experience than my first. My first C-section was an emergency C-section, so of course it's going to be different from a scheduled C-section. Everything is a lot more rushed and chaotic, and there's a lot more people trying to make sure that you're okay and to stay calm. And basically, like for an emergency C-section, everything just happens really, really fast. And before you know it, you're in there, everything's getting done, and boom, baby's in your arms kind of thing. For a scheduled C-section, it's obviously a lot different. Things are a lot slower paced. Nothing is as rushed. I found that doctors and nurses, they were still nice, but they didn't really try to calm you down and make you feel good. And honestly, surgery, no matter what, I feel is very nerve-wracking and can make you feel very anxious and nervous. So my experience was a little bit different, and honestly, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, an emergency C-section, you'd think that I wouldn't have liked, but the experience and the kind of support and stuff that I felt from the nurses and the doctors was a lot different than a scheduled C-section. For example, when I came into my emergency C-section, the doctor was, very calm. He gave off this really good vibe that made me feel calm and ready to do this, and it made me less anxious about having a C-section. I felt confident in my surgeon as well. Also, when my husband had to leave with my son, because they leave the room while I get it all stitched up and everything, the anesthesiologist sat with me, talked to me, and was very calming, and I didn't feel alone, which was really nice because when you're just laying there on a table getting stitched up, it's and my husband's gone with the baby, so he was so nice to just sit there and talk with me, and it made me feel so good. This time, as I was getting stitched up after my daughter was delivered, the surgeons were kind of talking and having their own personal conversations with each other. And the anesthesiologist was behind me, answering phone calls on his phone, doing stuff. And so I was just laying there by myself, waiting to be stitched. Nobody was talking to me. It was just kind of crickets for me. So I didn't really like that experience personally, but overall afterwards, healing wise, it was way worse than the first time. I actually ended up getting an infection and had to go on antibiotics. The first time when I left the hospital, they took out the staples before I actually left, and I was only there for 2 days. I was there for 2 days this time as well, but they let me leave with the staples in. And so when I went home over the weekend, my body was rejecting the staples, so I was in so much pain. I could barely make it to the washroom and back again without being in tears because I was in so much pain. Painkillers were not helping this pain. And then it turns out that one of the staples, so they kind of messed up on a part of my incision. This is the way they kind of stitch it closed. It's supposed to flatten out when it heals, but it was one section was the opposite. So what happened is, and this is a trigger warning, so if you get queasy or anything like that, then maybe you want to skip this part. The staple actually was grown into the healed skin. So when I went to the doctor to get the staples out, it was Not a very good experience. I had to get freezing so that they could get it out. Yeah, it was not good. And I had the infection afterwards, which I'm pretty sure was from the staple being in there. And then over the weekend, they gave me a topical antibiotic because they thought the infection was on the outside. I was pretty confident that was on the inside just because it's just based off of what was happening. I just felt like, you know, I think this is internal. But they gave me the topical one to try first. And then over the weekend, what happened is I had like a fluid buildup in like the side of like my abdomen, and it was like a pouch of like fluid. And so I called the doctor's like emergency line, and I was like, I like have this like bulge on the side of me, and I think that my infection is internal. So then they prescribed me the antibiotics. So it was like 2 weeks until I actually started to feel like decent. It was just such a huge ordeal, and like honestly, I was like not impressed. I was very like, you know, upset about it. I just wanted to feel better. Yeah, it was just not a very good time, but everything now is good. I'm healed up good. You know, that part of my incision actually doesn't look that bad as we suspected. So I might not need to even get it fixed, to be quite honest with you. So beginning was not so good. The doctors that I have though were super great and super supportive, so I'm really glad that I had them. And anytime I called with any questions or concerns, they were there for me. They were super calm and very nice about it, so it was pretty good. But let's get into some of the things that I used postpartum that actually were very helpful for me. And just helped me feel more comfortable considering everything that was going on. So first things first, I'll start with some of the just like essentials I feel like you should have on hand postpartum, regardless if you have a C-section or not. Number one, they changed the formula from 2 years ago when I was using it, or last year when I was using it with my son, when I was nursing him. So they changed the packaging and the like formula of it, I feel like, a little bit. Honestly, I do really like this. It's very moisturizing. The hospital actually gave me some as well, like little packets of it. So they also, I would assume, recommend this. This one can be quite pricey, but it is safe for babies to, you know, nurse after you apply it. But yes, I just like layered this on. Like, I went through like a whole bottle or a whole thing in like 2 weeks. Now I don't use as much, but the first 2 weeks was pretty rough nursing because my daughter was only 6 pounds when she was born, which is crazy because my son was 8 pounds. She was born at 39 weeks and my son was born at 40 weeks. So quite a big difference in size. So nursing in the beginning was really difficult because, you know, I'm a chesty person and, you know, she was so tiny and her mouth was so small. So we actually had a lot of trouble nursing in the very beginning, but this helped me so much, just keeping moisture and everything so that I wasn't in like too much pain. It was still painful, but I feel like it could have been more so if I wasn't applying this religiously. And like, as I went through one of these in like 2 weeks, whereas now like it's been like over a month and I'm still not done my second one. So this is good. I love this Medela cream. And some things I didn't bring down with me to actually show you, so I'll show you like little pictures and stuff like that, so that you can see, and I will link most of the things down below, so if you're interested in getting them for yourselves, you'll be able to just easily access it. And another moisturizer cream that I used postpartum, mostly because after having surgery my skin was extremely dry. I also have had a reaction to the surgical tape, so because of the issues with my incision, I had compression tape all across the incision and in my like abdominal uterus ovary area, And so it's taped on with surgical tape, and what happened is after we took it off, I had a really bad reaction. So my skin got really, really dry and flaky. It was so itchy and red. I still actually have a mark on that area. It's fading, but you know, it's taking some time, but it was quite the reaction that I had. And then I also had a reaction for like surgical like tape that was on where the IV was. And it gets so dry and so itchy, and it was like that for a while, where it's like actually painful and almost like scabbing. So I was using the Brazilian Bum Bum cream, but because of the fragrance, it honestly just dries things out more. So I wouldn't recommend using a fragrant moisturizer. But the moisturizer honestly helped like so quickly within a couple days. And this was just me applying it in the evenings after I had a shower. Is the Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion. This one is fragrance free. And honestly, like, it helped so much. I like layered it on though, but within a few days, like the patchiness and the really dry skin and everything like basically went away. So this was honestly like really good, and I'm so glad that I just like got this to help me out, because I was like, oh, maybe it'll just go away on its own and I'll just keep moisturizing using whatever I was using. It wasn't working. It was kind of making it worse. So this was so helpful, and I do really like it. So if you get really dry skin or you have an allergy to surgical tape, make sure to mention it to your doctor or your surgeon beforehand so they can use a different type of tape. But I didn't know that I had a allergy until after everything was removed, so this helped me out a lot. So for previously, my like last year, you know, after I had my son, I had a lot of postpartum hair loss, and you'll see a lot of women talk about it, and I don't know, because it didn't happen to me till about 3 or 4 months, and right now I'm only at 6 weeks about. So there's still time for me to actually go through the process of postpartum hair loss. But so far, what helped my hair grow back after previous postpartum hair loss, and honestly this has helped me, you know, maintain healthy, you know, shiny hair that still grows quickly, and is also a prenatal, is the Hairtamin Mom. So if you're in Canada, these honestly can be quite pricey and you do pay duties, but I've been using these mostly for when I've been pregnant and nursing, and honestly they have helped so much in terms of like my hair, my nails. When I was pregnant with my son, I wasn't taking these ones, I was just taking a regular prenatal, and you know, my hair fell out a lot. I had a lot of hair fall during pregnancy as well, and then near the end it got all shiny and it got all shiny, and you know, it gave me that glow. This time I used this my entire pregnancy, and I didn't have any severe hair loss or anything. Another little postpartum thing that I honestly keep just for emergencies, like on the side. Nursing at the beginning was a little bit difficult. However, my milk production just like immediately was like, we know what we got to do. And it was coming in really fast, and I had like more milk than what I needed for her. So I felt like I was constantly like engorged or pumping or whatever. It was insane. Now we've kind of evened out a little bit, but even then sometimes I have days where I feel like I have too much. So it's been quite a journey. I honestly did not expect it to be like that. I expected to, you know, have some issues with milk production just like I did with my son, but not the case. Apparently my body knew what it was doing. That being said, I only stopped nursing my son last summer in June or July, one of those months, and then I had my daughter at the end of July. So, I mean, it had only been a year since I actually had stopped nursing, so maybe that has something to do with it. I have no idea. But usually I would make the cookies myself, but I didn't have time, as well as with recovery being the way it was. There was no way I was going to be able to stand up and start, you know, baking some cookies. So I bought these cookies, the Munchkin Milkmakers Lactation cookies. These ones are in the flavor oatmeal chocolate chip. I have tried the Boonie ones, and those ones are super weird and I'm not a fan of them. But these ones are actually really delicious. So I've only eaten like maybe 3 packs, and mostly just because I just wanted to eat it. There was like one time where I did feel like I wanted to up my milk production, and it did a little bit. It wasn't like super intense or anything, but it did help a little bit. I feel like if I did eat them maybe every day, then I would see a bigger difference, but I don't need it every day. I'm basically just including, because these are my emergency cookies in case I need, you know, to amp up my milk production, or say I do something and skip a feed or something and it goes down after whatever. These are my emergency cookies, and these are so good. Like, I honestly just like want to eat a pack like every day. The only thing is they are a little pricey, so they're about $29.99. And you get 10 bags, but it does tell you that you should only have 1 to 2 servings a day. Personally, I just eat 1 a day and then I'm good, but I don't need an influx. So if you're looking for higher milk production, then you might end up eating 2. I do recommend, if you can, just make them yourself, because honestly, making them yourself, they taste so much better and they're a lot cheaper. But this is just my like emergency cookies, just in case I need them. And another thing, so 2 years ago, or about just over a year ago, no, 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, you know, when I had my son, you know, we had to buy those little gloves because he would always put his hands in his face and scratch it. However, over the last year, they have been more innovative, and I don't know why they didn't do this beforehand. But me and my husband were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why didn't they do this like a year ago when we had our son? Because it would have been so convenient. But they make little onesies now. So this is my daughter's little onesie. They have little gloves built into them. So just like this, if they don't need it. And then this little flap just folds over into a little glove. I'm just sharing this with you guys because this was not like this before, and it is amazing. So far, from what I've seen, most newborn onesies and like 0 to 3 have these little gloves on them, which is super awesome, because yes, that's when they like scratch their face the most, and they have like little razor blades. And it's just super convenient because then I don't have to have little gloves. And I found that when my son would wear the gloves, his hands would like stink and be like sweaty after. Whereas with this, it's still breathable and it's easy to just kind of flip off if you need to let them breathe. Also, my daughter doesn't really put her hands in her face as much as my son did, so that's awesome. But still, like for nursing wise, because their hands kind of flail and stuff and I don't want to get all scratched up, I just like flip these on. But it's so convenient because I don't have to like try to put a glove on. I can just flip these over. I just like was so amazed by them. So far I've seen Carter's has them, and as well as Old Navy has these little things on them. I don't know about Walmart onesies and such. I haven't checked there, but so far the newborn to 0 to 3 onesies at Carter's and Old Navy have these. Okay, so out of the Frida mom kits, there was a couple things that I used that obviously I thought were like super awesome, and you know, I can give you an update on that. So first I'll start with the Peri bottle. So the Peri bottle, you know, even though I had a C-section, is honestly really helpful. Like it just really like, you don't really need to like do much, and the squeeze bottle is so much easier, and I felt like I didn't have to like bend over to like get in there, you know what I mean? I literally, you just hold it and it just does it, you know? You don't have to work too hard for it. So this was super awesome, comes in handy. I think if you are either having a C-section or a vaginal birth, I recommend this. And then the nursing gown, or nursing and delivery gown, actually it was so amazing. It has these little buttons like on the side. I will post a picture here of it just because it's currently in the wash. I'm still using it. I use it mostly for sleep, and it's so long, so it's really great. I was able to just wear it in the hospital, especially because we did go through a heat wave when we came out of the hospital. So it was nice to just have, because it was so long that I didn't have to wear like pants or anything extra underneath, besides like postpartum underwear and stuff. And yeah, it has like the little buttons and stuff, so it just like clips open. You just whip out your boob to nurse, you know. It was so convenient, and I honestly really like it. It's also a very comfortable material. I did buy a similar one on Amazon, and I also really liked that one. It's a little bit thinner of a material, so it did feel nicer for the summer. It's also not as long, but it's still pretty long. So I would recommend those if you are, you know, wanting a gown for delivery and nursing after. It was so convenient. Highly recommend the gowns. And then an update on the postpartum underwear. So in the kids, I had just like the high-waisted boy short ones, and then I bought the C-section ones as well. So these are the C-section ones, and they're just like a high-waisted, like kind of, you know, underwear. Personally, I think if you have a C-section or not, I wouldn't recommend these ones. I actually didn't find them as comfortable. They're still high-waisted and everything, but I found that this area, like the legs, like, and in the crotch, like, would just like ride up, and it would make me so irritated. And because I had all that dry skin and such because of the compression tape, it was like, just everything was just really uncomfortable. So I don't recommend the C-section ones. I think if you have a C-section, you can still get the boy short because they are still high-waisted and they're way more comfortable. They just, honestly, like, I use them all because they were so much better. So I would recommend those over the C-section ones. And honestly, like, in comparison to the hospital ones, like, these ones have a little bit of a compression to them. So even when I had to like go out and I would just throw on a dress, they were almost kind of like slimming, and they would kind of like tuck in my tummy a little bit. So it's kind of nice to have that as well. They're not tight, but they're like, feel like they could be a little bit like shapewear. I don't know, they just kind of smooth everything out. I have 2 apps that I recommend that you use, just because I do find that they helped a lot with sleep, as well as understanding what a baby is going through, or even what your toddler is going through. So 2 apps that I recommend is Huckleberry app and the Wonder Years. So first, the Huckleberry app is something in terms for sleep. Newborns honestly sleep so much that it doesn't really give you a sleep schedule if you are using the app, but it helps with like tracking sleep. So I started tracking my daughter's sleep about just over a week ago. So she was just over a month old, and I was tracking it during the day and at night. So what it does is you just track it and it will tell you kind of like what's going on. So I've only been tracking sleep, and then the little pill is her vitamin D, so I'm reminded every day to do it, and I know if I missed it that day to do it again. So right now it won't recommend any sleep or naps for me, just because the only thing it recommends now at her age is that she naps every 45 minutes to 120 minutes on demand. She's currently not sleeping, so I'll have to update that. And then the other app I recommend, and this app just kind of helps you understand why a baby might be going through, a fussy phase, a really upset phase, whatever it is. Even for my toddler, it helps a lot. I use the Wonder Years. So for my daughter, like, it just told me she just had her first sleep. She was sleeping like quite a bit longer. She wasn't any fussier, but it also kind of like, you can check off some of the things that you're noticing in terms of like changing in, the way they're seeing the thing, like seeing things, or, how they're eating and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool to see that and understand that, this is a leap. It helped a lot, like so much, when my son, was going through a leap as a toddler, because he would have these stages where he would just be like super fussy and testy. He wasn't sleeping well, and being really clingy, and it was it was hard to understand why. And sometimes as a parent, you're like, what am I doing that is doing this? Like, what am I doing wrong? And you know, if you have the Wonder Years app, you can just take a look, and a lot of the time when that's happening, they're actually going through a leap. So they're going through a huge developmental change, and so they're, you know, going through this phase, and it passes. But it helped me understand a lot more. And so when I would see them coming, I was like, okay, here we go. I can expect him to be a little bit more fussy and, you know, a little more clingy, maybe not sleep as well. So it helped me prepare myself for it mentally. Maybe not physically, but, you know, mentally I was a little bit more prepared, and I just felt better, and like it wasn't my fault that I was doing something wrong. So I highly recommend those 2 apps, just for, you know, helping you either as a new parent or, you know, as a parent that might be struggling with certain things right now. Honestly, it's like those 2 apps have been so helpful to me. They were actually recommended to me by another mom that is my friend. She was using them for her daughter, and she recommended I use them when I was struggling with, you know, leaps and sleep and everything like that. And honestly, like, they were the best. Honestly, I highly recommend them as well. So there you have it. There is my postpartum recommendations for C-section or just in general. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out, whether you are expecting or you have a new baby. Hopefully there's some things here that you might want to use and that might actually help you in your journey through parenthood. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notification bell so you get notified when I update and upload a new video, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I'm curious to see if you guys enjoy these mommy update, you know, recommendation videos. I want to know. Give it a thumbs up if you do, as well as comment down below if there's anything you would like to see next. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.